William Patterson Broadcast Network, Brave New Radio.
Brave New Radio. Give us your tired, your poor, your hungry, your rockers, your punks, your freaks, your geeks, your Greeks, your party animals, your gangsters, your commuters, your residents, your students, your alums, your lawyers, your truckers, your calls, your tweets. And we'll give you rock, classic, indie, punk, alternative, easy, hard, raps, rhymes, mixes, and drops. We'll give you kick-ass music because we're WPSC 88.7 FM, Brave New Radio. Sound good?
The views and opinions expressed on this show are solely those of the hosts and guests and are not necessarily supported by WP 88.7 FM, station management, or the station owner, William Patterson University. Anyone wanting to offer differing opinions may do so by calling this show at 973-720-2738. Abusive callers will be rejected. Now here's your program on WP 88.7 FM, Brave New Radio.
Well, good morning, good morning. Good morning to you, and a wonderful morning it is as we roll into the end of June. Believe it or not, this is coming close to the end of the 6th month of 2015, and if you can hear my voice, you know you're listening to another edition of the Reading Circle with Marc Medley, and this is your host, Marc Medley. We'll be with you for the next 3 hours. Our first hour, we'll have a guest. As you know, in the Reading Circle Hour, we interview authors from around the world. And then from the 7 to the 9 o'clock hour, we play the good news in song, which is the gospel music. That is the M&M hour, as well as in the Martha and Friends hour. So we're going to go ahead and get started. You know the ritual and the routine. Get on all your social media sites. Let someone know that the Reading Circle is indeed on the air on WP 88.7 FM, as well as on gobrave.org, where we are heard around the world. So right here in the northern New Jersey area, New York area, we're on WP 88.7 FM and heard around the world on gobrave.org. So I'm going to go ahead and give you the weather, what's going on here in the northern New Jersey area.
Broadcasting from William Patterson University, WP 88.7 FM, Brave New Radio.
Okay.
Straight from the WP 88.7 FM Weather Center, here's your local forecast.
Right now, and we are moving to a high of 70. All right, so we're almost at our high already. Expected to be cloudy this morning with showers during the afternoon. High again is around 70. Tonight, thunderstorms likely. Rainfall will be locally heavily at times. 100% chance of precipitation. Then tomorrow, Sunday, 75 as a high, 58 as a low. Thunderstorms in the morning, then partly cloudy late. Sunday night, partly cloudy skies, a low of 58. And then on Monday, 79 as a high, 61 as a low. Partly cloudy skies, clearing up on Monday night. On Tuesday, sunshine and clouds mixed, high of 83, moving to a low of 66. Thunderstorms likely Tuesday night. And then on Wednesday, a few clouds early, otherwise mostly sunny. High of 85, low of 61. Expected to have, or us to have, partly cloudy skies on Wednesday night. Well, that is the weather brought to you right here from the WP 88.7 FM Weather Center. And as you know, we read from 2 books to kick the show off. And we're going to do just that. Out of the book, What Can Happen When We Pray, for today, June the 27th. It says, blessings are assured. Today's prayer, holy, holy, most holy God, you are our help, our refuge, and our strength. Continue to hear and answer us, we pray, in your time. Amen. Today's reflection. Early childhood is such an important time in our personal and spiritual development. When we cry out of hunger or distress, the response of those who care for us shapes our outlook. When they come, we learn to trust them and our environment. With this assurance, seeds of faith are planted. We come to believe our parents are good, we are good, and the world we know is a safer place. Our faith in the goodness of God grows in this rich soil. As we grow, we learn the world is not so safe. We suffer, others suffer. We make mistakes and hurt others, and they hurt us. We cry out to God, hungering for peace and relief from our distress. God responds. God comes like no other. In God's way and in God's time. Surely God is our helper. God upholds our lives and calms our fears. God feeds us with the bread of life. God protects us and keeps us rest assured. That's from the book What Can Happen When We Pray. Now from the book Until Today by Iyanla Van Zant. For June 27th, she says, I am now willing to forgive myself for not taking time to deal with certain unpleasant memories. You don't have to be angry because you are not recognized or acknowledged as a child. No matter how hard you tried or how well you did, no one noticed. It may have seemed as if those who were a little better, a little bigger, a little smarter got all the attention. That may be true, but you don't have to be mad about that today. You don't have to be angry because the love you needed or wanted or sometimes demanded wasn't there for you. You were probably made to feel as if what you thought, what you knew, what you felt was not important. But there is no reason to still be mad about it today. As children, few of us were allowed to express anger. When we experienced anger, we had to stuff it, camouflage it, or deny it. In essence, we held on to it. That anger grew with us into habits, attitudes, beliefs, perceptions, and decisions. Anger makes us anxious and impatient. Angry people are, quote, see I told you so, unquote, people. They can also be, quote, I knew this would happen, unquote, people. They are always looking for reasons to be angry and ways to express the anger they have been holding. If you feel left out, unnoticed, unappreciated, or you feel the need to prove yourself, chances are you have some unexpressed childhood anger. If you love to compete and hate to lose, if you are a yeller, a hitter, and perhaps a drinker, it may be time for you to deal with your anger. Until today, you may not have realized you were angry or understood why you are angry. Just for today, set an intention to heal any unexpressed anger that may be present in your life. Go to a quiet place with pen and paper. Take a few deep breaths. Ask your anger to speak to you. Write down the thoughts. Write about the feelings. When you are finished, forgive yourself for holding on to the anger for so long. Then ask the Holy Spirit to transform the anger into a passion for life. Today I am devoted to healing unresolved and unexpressed anger. That's for June 27th from the book Until Today by Iyanla Van Zant. Again, folks, you know the drill. Get on all your social media sites. Let someone know that we're on the air. My guest is on the air calling all the way from California, out on the West Coast. She's my second West Coast guest in the past 3 weeks. A couple of weeks ago, we had Tony Rose on. He was in that same time zone. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning there when it was 6 o'clock here. And my guest today is in that same time zone, and she is none other than Joyce Fields. And Joyce says, I started my career as a stenographer at a major utility company, working my way up through supervisor of word processing, then as the office manager for an automotive advertising agency, and lastly as an executive assistant at a large non-profit health maintenance organization. I am also a professional proofreader. All of these positions were leading me into writing as becoming an author. In 1982, my first piece was published. I entered a writing contest for a magazine. I didn't win, but they notified me that they still wanted to publish my article, and they paid me $100. They published the article verbatim. I took that as a sign that my writing was publishable. Subsequent to that, I wrote 3 op-ed columns for the Detroit Free Press. They published all 3 of them verbatim. I took that as another sign that my writing was publishable. I wrote my first book, Line of Serenity, a memoir, in 1997. Being the oldest of 7 in a very happy family, I wanted to capture the way our parents raised us so that the way they did it would not be lost when we all passed on. Sadly, our oldest brother passed away on April 28, 2013. There has never been any sibling rivalry in our family. We all adore each other. Many people read the manuscript and told me, or read the manuscript and told me that I should publish it. The book goes from 1944, the year I was born, through 1977, the year our mother passed on, and includes family recipes and photographs. Recipes because food was and still is an important part of my family's fabric. Photographs so that descendants can see that their ancestors look like and be amazed to find a resemblance to an ancestor. You don't have to be a family member to enjoy the book. For older readers, it's a walk down memory lane. For younger readers, it provides a peek into the past. 46 years ago, I married my childhood sweetheart. We have 2 grown sons, 8 grandchildren, and 3 great-grandchildren. Family is everything. And then she goes on to say, you can sign up for a free download of Kids Are Really Fun. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Reading Circle microphones. Joyce Fields. Joyce, good morning.
Good morning, Mark.
All right. I told you it's 3 o'clock in the morning over there, your time, a little after 6 here. So
yes.
you said this is your normal time, so we're good to go then.
Yes, it is.
So, all right.
I'm a night owl.
All right. Yeah, I used to be. I still can be every now and again. But a lot of times I will go ahead and hit the bed early around 9:30, 10 o'clock. But in many nights it's 11, 12, but that's about it in these days. But I remember those.
For me.
Yeah, I remember those 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning days. Yeah. All right, I tell you what, we are going to share some information with the listening audience, and then we come back, we're going to resume our interview. Listening audience, you know the drill. Get on all your social media sites. Let someone know that Joyce Fields is on the air with me. I'm going to share this information with you, and then after we're done with that, we're going to go ahead and find out a little bit more about good short books. All right, stay, don't you dare move, because we're not going anywhere.
Think carrying 10 or 20 pounds of extra weight isn't much? We went to a park, handed 10 and 20 pound sandbags to people aged 45 to 60, and asked if we could follow them around.
10 pounds makes a big difference. Oh, I definitely felt it in my knees.
A few extra pounds each year can cause joint pain and lead to serious chronic diseases like diabetes and heart disease. Wouldn't you like to drop that weight and stop picking up more? Visit hhs.gov/1 pound at a time to find out how. Obesity happens 1 pound at a time. So does preventing it. Brought to you by HHS and NIH.
Yeah, salad on Saturday, fruit on Friday, bubble on Thursday, water Wednesday, touch your toes Tuesday, let's move Monday, swap us next Sunday.
60 minutes of physical activity a day and eating well can help get your child healthy. So keep them active and eating well every day. Get ideas, get involved, get going at letsmove.gov. That's letsmove.gov. A message from USDA, HHS, and the Ad Council.
All right, we are about to resume, or shall I say begin our interview. I read her biography. I read a little bit about her, and she again is none other than Joyce Fields. And she says, I write books that inspire people on their journey to make the world a better place. So I tell you what, Joyce, let us know a little bit about where did that begin? Was that something, did you always love writing, or did you do that whenever you were a youngster in grade school, or did that come later in life?
Well, it came when I learned how to read. I've always loved reading. And I remember when I was about 6 years old, seven years old, sitting at the breakfast table, and I would have the cereal box in front of me, and I would read everything on it, front, back, sides, bottom, top, everything. Every word that was written, I would read it. And matchbooks, anything that had words on it, I would be reading it. And and I didn't realize that my love for reading was teaching me how to write. And so when I got into grade school, I remember maybe around the 6th grade or so, I wrote a paper, and it was about if our ancestors could come back and see all these wondrous things that we had. You know, at that time it was like wringer washers and pop-up toasters and all of that, you know. And so I wrote that paper, and I got a really good grade on that. And so reading and writing and spelling and punctuation and all of that has always been my favorite and best subject.
We have a lot in common, because I remember as a child, and still do for that matter, when I'm sitting at the table reading the back of the cereal boxes. I can remember Bazooka Bubblegum and reading all the comics. And as soon as you said that, you brought back memories for me as well. And interestingly enough, whenever you were talking about just now writing that paper about the ancestors, about how they would marvel at what was going on, and I can imagine at that time, but our ancestors would really think like this was wizardry of what's going on in 2015. And I am literally right now reading a book on the Wright brothers. I'm reading the I guess it would be called the biography of the Wright brothers, because I love aviation and flight. So as soon as I saw that book was released, I downloaded and started reading it a couple of days ago, just to see, you know, what was in their minds as they were coming up with the airplane. And it's a fantastic read so far. But you are so right in terms of the connection between reading and writing. And matter of fact, as I shared with you last night, this is the 14th season of the show on the air. And the reason the show was created was the hopes of that it would inspire people to read more. And I can tell you, when my day job, when I'm not DJing or hosting this show, I'm a principal in an elementary school. And in the school I'm in, trying to get kids to read is a tough job.
Wow.
And they don't realize that reading is the foundation for everything else.
Yes, it is. And I've always told my grandchildren that, you know, I don't care what you need to do, you have to read in order to do it.
No question. And in today's times, even more so, because I try to share with the adults and the children, for that matter, a lot of the factory jobs that may have required lifting and manual labor 30, 40, 50 years ago, they're not there. And even if the factory job is there, most of the time it requires you to be reading something on a computer.
Yeah, well, it's the information age.
Exactly.
And information has to be read.
That's exactly. You know what? I tell my authors all the time as I'm interviewing them, when they say something that's snippy or something that's catchy, I put it on Twitter, and that's going to be quoted under you. Exactly what you just said. I'm going to put that on there. It's the information age, and information has to be read.
Yeah.
But those are the things. But it is true. So now, as you published that piece and you saw that it got some attention, or you saw that you really liked it, how did you continue doing that, or did you, as you progressed through grade school and high school, so far, did you continue the writing?
Which piece?
You shared your piece about the ancestors, and the teacher told you it was really good. That
was in middle school.
Right, and so
that wasn't published.
But I mean, in terms of, well, I mean, it might as well have been published at that station in terms of school. But in terms of piquing your interest or to continue doing it, did it do that for you?
No, not really. Not until, let's see, 1982. You referenced that one?
Yes.
Where I wrote that piece, that is what really spurred me into thinking that my writing was worthy of publishing.
Okay.
When I wrote that piece, I was the supervisor of the word processing center. And here again, everything has led me into words.
Yes. I was about to say it's all connected.
Mm-hmm. It really is. And so that piece, and they published it verbatim. They only changed the title.
Wow.
And then that was in 1982. Then the piece that I wrote, the editorial op-eds that I wrote, were in the 1990s, and they for the Detroit Free Press, and they published those 3 op-eds that I wrote verbatim as well. And so that is what led me into thinking, that my writing was publishable, was worthy of being published.
Now, when you put the book together, did you go through a traditional publishing house, or did you self-publish?
I self-published.
And I asked that question only because, again, in 2015 and the last few years, the technology has been so wonderful in terms of being able to self-publish, because there was a time whenever you had no choice. Everything had to go through a major publishing house, and the ritual and routine was you would wait and get hundreds of rejection letters before one finally said, hey, we like this. But now you don't have to do all of that. You can, if you have some work out there, you can self-publish it. And now this is where you have an advantage, because I heard you say you're a proofreader and an editor, and so you get a chance to do that for yourself. Or do you have someone else do it?
I do it myself. When I learned English, spelling, punctuation, grammar, and all of that, they were really and truly teaching it well.
I'm glad you said that, in terms of you put that emphasis on well.
Yes.
And I'll tell you what, because I work in the public school system, and we have gotten so far removed from the base, and I don't know if it's like that in California, but I know what we go through here. We pull out the basics in terms of phonics and all those different basic programs that really did work when we were children. Mm-hmm. And then you get this gap of 2 or 3 or 4 years of the kids can't do whatever that basic is that you pulled out. And then everybody starts scurrying, wondering why the kid can't do it, not looking at the fact that we no longer teach it.
That's right.
And so you're right in terms of, this is what I tell folks all the time, and I'll say it publicly, I'll say it privately, I'll say it to anybody who wants to listen. First off, no one can make me believe, and I was a smart kid, don't get me wrong, I was an intelligent kid, I was. Mm-hmm. But you can't make me believe I was the exception, and you can't make me believe all my classmates were stupid, because they weren't. That's the first thing. Mm-hmm. Secondly, you cannot make me believe that all the teachers that I had during that time period were bad. Mm-hmm. And if you were in the educational system at this point, those things could be inferred based on things that are said in programs that are put in place and all this testing and so forth and so on. But the truth of the matter is, during that time frame, those basics and concepts were taught well in terms of grammar, in terms of on the math end, multiplication tables, adding and subtracting, back to language arts, phonics, penmanship, cursive writing. Mm-hmm. Those things were taught well.
Yeah, they really were. And the thing about that is, I don't know, in today's world, the parents, to a great extent, weren't taught well. The younger parents, and so it's almost like you've heard that saying, like the dumbing down of America.
Absolutely, I could not agree with you more.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know what I experience every day, and you're right. Many of the parents are younger parents who were a part of that, what I just described. All these different highfalutin programs were introduced.
Yeah.
Don't teach this, don't teach that. I remember, because I was a language arts teacher before I became an administrator. And I was in corporate America prior to coming into education. So as I started teaching my class, the supervisor came and said, if I catch you using a grammar book, you're going to get written up. And I mean, I guess I looked at her like she had 3 heads or something. Like, wait a minute, I'm a language arts teacher, I'm an English teacher. What do you mean if I get caught using a grammar book, I'm going to be written up? And that's where we had moved to. The point they were trying to make was grammar should not be taught in isolation. It should be taught integrated. So in other words, if you're teaching a reading lesson or if you're teaching some other type of lesson, you can integrate grammar into it. And that's kind of been the thinking and the philosophy, as far as long as, and I've been back in the educational system since 2000. And that was kind of like the thinking when I came in. See, that's what I was saying a couple of minutes ago. You can't make me believe how we were taught was that far off base. I just don't believe that.
No.
And that's why, I mean, like penmanship is no longer in the curriculum. And again, the thinking is, well, everybody's doing everything on keyboards. Everybody's doing everything on the computer, so we don't need penmanship. That's wrong thinking, too.
Yeah, it is, because you still have to write longhand.
That's correct. You still have to sign things.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is what happened a couple of years ago when the whole Trayvon Martin thing occurred down in Florida. And then, like a year or so, whenever it was later, there was the trial. And the young lady who was testifying on Trayvon's behalf had just really flubbed it, okay? And so I exactly. So I blog also, and I had written a blog about this whole thing of not being able to read. Because on the stand, that's what happened. She couldn't read it. But then she went on later to say she could not read cursive. And that threw me. I said, what do you mean you couldn't read cursive? And then people started feeding back to me saying they don't teach cursive in school anymore. And that's when it dawned on me, like, wait a minute, you know what? They're right. We don't teach cursive in school anymore. So she may, which I didn't think it was all just the cursive, but she may have a little bit of legitimacy with being able to say, I couldn't read cursive. To me, that was a sad statement.
Very sad. I think it's sad as well. But I guess we're two of few.
Well, yeah. But that's why we're not getting any further than we're getting. And a lot of people really don't want to listen. And again, because for me, a lot of education really is not about children first, it's about money first. But again, and that's a whole, that we could talk all day on that. But that's why we're getting what we're getting. That's why we're getting people who can't read. We're getting people who can't write. And I'm going to move and segue that into what you do. Matter of fact, your whole website is goodshortbooks.com. And I'm going to share some information with the listening audience. And whenever we finish sharing that, we're going to talk a little bit about how that got started, as well as your book, the first book that was published. Was it Serenity? That was the name of it?
Yeah, Line of Serenity. That was the first one.
Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about that after I share this information with the audience.
Okay.
Let someone know, audience, you know the deal. Get on all your social media sites. I will be on there while the PSA is playing as well, letting someone know that Joyce Fields is on the air with me.
Hey, parents of children with asthma, here's another hit from the Breathe Easies.
Don't smoke in the house. Don't smoke in the house. Don't smoke around the kids in the house. Don't smoke in the car. Don't smoke in the house. Don't break my heart with your secondhand smoke in the kids. It can trigger the asthma.
Preventing asthma attacks can be as simple as making your home and car smoke-free zones. For more Breathe Easy tips to help stop asthma attacks, go to noattacks.org. Brought to you by the EPA and the Ad Council.
Hey, what's up? Thinking about you. XOXOXO. Want to snuggle. ... JK. Hit me back. You getting these texts? ? We should hang later. I miss you. Holla at ya, boy. Holla back. Holla back. Holla back. Are you at home? Where are you? What are you doing? OMG. You are making me mad. Are you with your ex? You better text me back. I'm waiting outside your house.
Relentless, aggressive texting is like sending an angry robot to deliver your message. When does the robot become dangerous? Let us know at that'snotcool.com.
That'snotcool.com.
Brought to you by the Ad Council.
This is the Reading Circle with your host, Marc Medley. We come live each Saturday morning from 6 o'clock a.m. to 7 o'clock a.m. Sometimes we have a doubleheader and sometimes a tripleheader. Since we have the flexibility within the 3 hours, kind of depends on how many guests I may schedule for the morning. But generally, our format is the first hour, I interview an author, and then the second hour is we put on the good news and song, which is the gospel music. And my guest this morning is Joyce Fields, calling all the way from California. And we're talking about her work. She has a website. Matter of fact, that's the title of, I would assume, their business, but it's goodshortbooks.com. books. And before we talk about that, I want to jump back again to Line of Serenity. When you were writing Line of Serenity, what was that like for you? Because you're putting together events and occurrences and memories from your family. What was that like for you?
Oh, it was really exciting because I knew what I was capturing the lives of my siblings and my parents and my aunts and my uncles and my cousins, and we have a very excuse me, a very close-knit family. We're a hug and kissing family. And so I have 7 siblings, and you talked about that. My oldest brother passed away in 2013. But I wanted to capture the memories for all of us, and to let the children know how we were raised. Our own children, our grandchildren, our nieces and nephews, and so on and so forth, how we were raised. And I'm so glad that I captured that. And my sister made the comment years after I had written the book, and years after our parents had passed away, that Mama and Daddy would be really proud of this book. And that really made me feel really good, So I hadn't even thought about the fact that they would be proud of the book.
As you were writing it, was it more like a catharsis for you, or did you hit any spots where it really kind of moved you to tears, or was it laughter, or all of the above?
It was all of the above, but it was only, the tears only came when I talked about the passing of my father. He passed first, and my mother. Then the tears did come. But other than that, it was all joy. There's no drugs,
right,
no violence, no abuse, no sex, none of that stuff in the way that we were raised.
And see, it is so important for our children to understand their history.
Yeah.
And I do declare, if our children better understood their history, some of this stuff that they're doing, they wouldn't do. Because I constantly tell kids all the time, you are so disrespecting your ancestors that you just wouldn't believe it. In terms of folks died for you to be able to do what you're doing right now and to be where you are. And you're taking that for granted.
Yes.
And I had a situation last week, Father's Day, where I had put together a collage of me, my father, my maternal grandfather, and my paternal grandfather. I put together one of these little electronic collages. So I texted to my youngest daughter. She's up in Corning. She's doing an internship there. And I texted to her, and she texted back, "Dad, who are these people?" And so, I mean, because she never knew anything, because all of them had passed away by the time she was born. My father was already passed away. And of course, my grandfathers, they've been gone a long time ago. So when she looked at the pictures, she had no idea who they were. And she said, "Dad, who are these people?" I said, that's your grandfather and your 2 great-grandfathers. But it dawned on me, like, our kids really don't know our history. And the fact that you put a book together like that is wonderful. Matter of fact, if there's a way to put it in a time capsule or somewhere that generations to come can get to it.
Well, I think that a lot of people could even do the same thing for their own families. Even doing a video. If you don't want to write anything, and you could do a video of hold up the pictures of family members, and just do it that way, just a visual. But personally, I like the fact of a book. I just love the feel of a book in my hand.
Absolutely.
I don't care for Kindles.
I didn't think I would, but I do more than I thought I would. But if I have my choice, I'll take the old-fashioned book.
Yeah.
I love the Kindle for the convenience of it, in terms of I have over 200 books on my iPad. And so no matter where I go, my iPad goes with me. I always have something to read. So from that standpoint, I like it. But from the standpoint of just being able to have the book in hand, being able to take a pen and write in the edges and fold dog ear pages and all of that stuff, I take the old-fashioned book as well.
Yeah. And you had asked me before about self-publishing. Now, I self-published all of my books, but the second book that I wrote, it's called Mother's Dozen, an easy recipe for raising great kids. And when I had finished that manuscript, I submitted it to publishing houses, Schuster and McGraw-Hill and so many others. And so they sent me rejection letters and told me that they would only publish child-rearing books if they were written by a celebrity, a psychologist, or a minister.
Right.
And so I said, wow, and so what I did was that I did the next best thing. I have a cousin who belonged to Fame Church out here in Los Angeles.
Right.
And it's a huge AME church. And so I got the minister, the pastor of that church, to read the manuscript and consider writing a foreword for it. And so some time passed, and he emailed me the most awesome foreword. He wrote the most awesome foreword for that book.
Wow.
And so if I hadn't been sitting down, I would have fallen down. And he calls it a handbook of excellence when it comes to raising children for the world to come.
Absolutely.
And he says that I systematize the rules passed down from generation to generation. And, it's not difficult to raise respectful, mannerable children.
No, it's not, if that's what you intend to do. And you know what, I may wind up ordering copies of your book to give to my parent body at the school. Because personally, my personal philosophy, and it was embedded and ingrained in me as a child, it starts in the home.
Yeah, it really does. People think that because these are little bitty babies, from the day they are born, they are smart.
Yes.
I think that the adults underestimate the intelligence of infants. And that's what I say in the book. If you don't train that infant will train you.
Absolutely. Oh, I know I got to copy that one. Matter of fact, if I get a copy, and like I said, if I need to order one for all of my parents, then I will do so, because I try to do a lot of work on the parent base, because I can blame the kids, but for the most part,
no, we can't blame the kids.
Right, it's the parent, because I always tell people all the time, the children didn't ask to be here. Not a one of us asked to come here.
And the thing is that if you can look back at the way you were raised and say that you were raised well, then you should raise your children the same way. But what ends up happening is the parents nowadays will say things worse to the effect of, I want my child to have it better than I had it. Why?
Well, see, and that can be taken so many different ways, because if you're using it, and it's interesting you would say that in terms of the fact, because I have theories. I don't always say my theories or opinions are correct, but I can just kind of observe things and kind of see. Now, I know on the East Coast, for many of the families who were raised in the South, in North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, all those different places, during those 20s and 30s and 40s, parents really did discipline.
Yeah.
And it's my belief that many of those kids now came north and in a different way said exactly what you just said. But what they said was, I'm not going to do to my kids what my parents did to me. And when they came up with that, meaning I'm not going to discipline them, and I'm not going to spank them if I need to, I'm not going to punish them or give them consequences. And in that thinking, ruined almost like a generational line.
Amen.
And each generational line now going forward is getting less and less. Because I put something on Twitter the other day saying, you need to be the best parent, not your child's best friend. You don't need to be your child's best friend. You need to be your child's best parent.
Friend will come when they are just about grown.
Yes.
But up until then, it's like the children watch you and they learn.
Yes.
How far they can go. It's almost like I say in the book, the older generation, you've heard about spreading their wings.
Yes.
Well, these kids nowadays have wings like 747 jets.
They do.
You know,
They
so
really do.
it's just absolutely outrageous, you know. And when you go into department stores or supermarkets or at the park or whatever, you see toddlers are in control of
Absolutely. I have parents come into my office because the school that I serve is grades 1 through 8. And I have parents of first and second graders come in and say, Mr. Medley, I have no idea what to do with them.
Oh,
I mean, literally, the second grader is running their house.
I mean, I'm speechless when I see that kind of stuff.
Well, you can imagine my face and what be going on in my mind when I'm sitting in my office behind my desk and a parent tells me that. Especially, it's bad enough to even say that for an 8th grader, but to come in there and tell me that for a first or second grader?
I don't understand it.
I don't either. And so,
you pay the price, though. They'll pay the
yes,
price.
you do. You will pay, because there are some I sit there and I chat with my vice principal or the secretary or something and say that child is going to break their heart one day. The price is going to be paid.
It won't be that long.
No, it won't. And so that's where this. I mean, I definitely got to get a copy of that particular book, because, like I said, if after thumbing through and reading through it, if it turns out that it's something that I really feel that my parents can use, I will order multiple copies to be able to give them, because I'm always looking for resources. Because it's one thing for people to say, well, you know what, I don't know. It's another thing for people to say, well, somebody did try to help me. So anytime I can find a resource that I think may help them, because in the long run, it helps us all.
Yeah, it does.
And this parenting thing is serious, because, as I was saying a couple of minutes ago, none of us asked to be here. And if you've taken on that, if you've taken on that decision to be a parent, then you know what? Guess what? You're going to have to take everything that goes along with that. You can't just, because I'm in an urban school, that's why I can say the things that I say. But I've seen too many parents abdicate their responsibilities at the delivery room door. And then everybody else is supposed to raise them, whether it be the government, whether it be the school system, whether it be the daycare center, whether it be whomever. It's everybody else but the parent.
That's very true. And you know what else, Mark? Now I think that a lot of these parents now, they treat their child like they're little dolls.
Yes.
They just want to dress them.
Yes.
And, you know, I mean, you see infants wearing Jordans.
Yes, and the infant Jordans cost more than the grown-up. That's right. That's right. And the infant Jordans cost more than the adult Jordans.
Yeah.
Way less material.
Some of the chapters in the book are teach you manners. You know, and how do you teach a child manners? By being mannerable to the child.
Absolutely.
You know, and discipline and order and organization and the love of a higher power and the love of reading and learning. And those are some of the chapters in the book.
On my office door is that poem, Children Learn What They Live.
I love that.
So do I. And it hangs on my office door because I'm constantly trying to send subliminal and covert messages to my parent body, because I'm really tough on my parents. I really am. I'm tough on my parents. I'm tough on the staff. And my staff is always criticizing me, saying, well, you're tougher on us than you are the kids, because you're the adult.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, let's talk. Where did good short books come from? Because I know we're leading, and I can tell by the conversation, I have a real good idea where it came from. But talk to me, the concept, how'd you put it together? How did it come together?
Well, you know what? It's God gifted me with the talent of being succinct. It doesn't take a whole lot of words to say, to get to the point. And so therefore, it's just like Mother's Dozen. It's 41 pages.
All right. Yeah, interesting you would say, you're very succinct, because that, again, dovetails and fits right with the proofreading and the editing. Mm-hmm. It all comes together.
Yes. And so all of the books, the longest one is Line of Serenity, and it's 169 pages, which includes 22 pages of my own recipes and 21 pages of photographs.
So, needless to say, because the title speaks for itself, good short books, you don't have to have something that is a dissertation in order for it to be good.
No,
back
not
to
at
your
all.
thinking about being succinct. The message can still
Yeah.
be gotten across
Yeah.
in a shorter amount of pages
Yeah.
or time or whatever.
Hmm. And the third book that I wrote, you'll love this title. The best way to keep a man is to let him go. Among other things.
This is true.
Hmm.
So I see
that's 64. That's 64 pages.
64 pages? All right.
22 pages includes 22 pages of my own recipes as well. Because the last chapter is the way to a man's heart is through his stomach.
Right. That old adage.
Yes, it is.
So I see here on the site that you have children's books as well. I'm going to share some more information with the listening audience, but I want to talk about the various offerings because I see a breast cancer journey to
Yes.
greater joy. I
Breast
see my
cancer
15
survivor.
dogs. All right, so I'm going to share some more information with the audience, listening audience. Hopefully you've been with us since 6, but if you just joined us, this is the Reading Circle with Marc Medley. My guest is Joyce Fields, and we're talking about many things that are all connected. I always tell people you got to connect the dots, and that's what we're doing this morning in terms of the connection between reading, writing, parenting, children, school. It's all connected, and if we are going to be a better place, because that's why I like what you said, you try to write books that inspire people, that change the world. So Joyce is on the line with me. Let someone know that she has about 15, 16 more minutes left in the interview, and that we're talking about some good stuff here. And the thing is, as the title of her business and website says, good short books. So let me tell you why I like that, and then I'll share the information. Because I told you it's hard to get the kids and many adults to read. And a lot of times the reason they say is because it's too long. It's boring. I fall asleep. But I'm listening to you that's saying, well, okay, if that's your reason, I got the short ones for you.
Yeah. I like that.
So let me share this information and we'll come right back.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Stan Myers, and I'm here at FM 88.7. I do a jazz show called Just a Mood, and if you like the music, anything from Louis to Lester Bowie, I'm your man. That's Sunday afternoons, 3 to 6. Looking to hear from you, okay?
This is the Reading Circle with your host, Marc Medley. My guest this morning is Joyce Fields. And her website, which shows you and displays all her various works, is goodshortbooks.com. And the company is Good Short Books. And right before I shared Stan's information with you, we were talking about some of the books that falls under the Good Short Books umbrella. And I see here A Breast Cancer Journey to Greater Joy. Let's talk a little bit about that one.
Okay. I am a breast cancer survivor.
All right,
in
bless you.
2000.
Bless you.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
In 2011, I was diagnosed with stage 2 invasive ductal carcinoma. I have to stop and think of how the technical term.
Right.
So, yeah, and so I had surgery. I had a lumpectomy, and then I had radiation. I did not have chemotherapy.
Okay.
The medical oncologist told me that if I had chemotherapy, it would have increased my chances for recovery by 2%. So I told him, I said, that's not a high enough percentage for me to undergo chemotherapy.
Right.
So, and then he told me that he thought that was a good decision, that I didn't go on for the chemotherapy. And so I took the tamoxifen, and then in August, I had the surgery, August 2011. In April 2012, the tamoxifen gave me a stroke.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and that's one of the possible side effects.
Right.
Now, it won't do that for everybody, but it did it for me. And so it affected my speech. And so then I had speech therapy and all of that. And So now when I talk to people, they tell me that they can't tell that I had a stroke that affected my speech.
And see, I would join that band because I was about to say the same thing. I would never know it had you not said it.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. And so I wrote the book. Now, the book had really written itself because I had been blogging about it,
right?
About all the different steps throughout the whole process, And so the book came together. I was just putting my blog pieces together with it. And so then I contacted my 4 doctors, my primary care physician, the breast cancer surgeon, the medical oncologist, and the radiologist, and asked them if they would read it, and then if they would agree to write a foreword. So this book has 4 forewords in it.
All right.
And they did agree, and they wrote some amazing forewords. And again, here's the good short books, 60 pages.
All right. I told you a couple of seconds ago, a lot of people use that old excuse, well, books are too long. Now you just took that excuse away.
60 pages. And I also tell the reader what my regimen is. I do a regimen every day, what I call a green drink, and it's spinach and broccoli and a lot of other stuff in it.
Right.
And I drink that every morning. And so I'm taking a lot of supplements and doing all that and just trying to stay cancer free. And I have never claimed it. I don't say my cancer. I've never called it that.
I know that's right. Words are powerful.
Yeah, that's right. And so that was the reason why I wrote that one, because the subtitle of that one is Taking the Fear and Mystery Out of a Breast Cancer Diagnosis.
All right.
Yeah, and that's why, I wanted people who would be diagnosed with the same type of breast cancer as I was.
Right.
That I wanted to take the fear and the mystery out of it for them.
Absolutely. And then right next to it, I see My 15 Dogs.
Now that's my sister wrote that one.
Okay.
It's about the dogs in her life and the escapades and adventures that she has had with her dog. Now this one that I think that you would really be interested in. This is The Vision, telling kids that they can make the world a better place.
Absolutely.
That one is 48 pages, and it includes a personal contract for school and a personal contract for home. And the students, I wrote it for students, the students can decide when they want to change their behavior, what they want to change their behavior in, and specific subjects in school or around the house, whatever.
What's the lowest age group? I mean, or the target audience? Is it for middle school kids, or can the lower grade kids read it as well?
It's like from 8 to 16.
Okay, that would cover my building then. All right, well, I'm gonna take it. I'm looking at The Vision and Mother's Dozen right next to each other.
Yeah.
So I'm going to definitely take a look at those.
Well, it's a walk down through history, and it talks about slavery.
Okay.
And, there's 2 slaves talking, and the little boy has just gotten beaten because he wants to learn how to read.
Oh my!
It happened. They black people were killed even.
That's right.
Because they wanted to learn how to read. And so he just makes a statement that, Lord have mercy, do these kids in the future know what we have to go through because we want to learn how to read and write? And so it walks them down through the history, and one of the kids has a sister who has visions, and that's how the title came about, The Vision, telling kids that they can make the world a better place. And she sees far, far, far into the future, and that's how she knows what the kids are not doing as far as academically.
Now, all of these are self-published?
Yes.
Now, in terms of like bulk orders, if you were to get a hit for 400 or 500, you're able to accommodate that?
Yes.
All right. because again, I'm looking at Mother's Dozen, I'm looking at the Vision, I'm looking at all of them actually, and there's something that you said up here in the top, where in your hello and welcome, you said you'll all find books you'd like to read and or give as gifts. And the give as gifts caught my eye because that's about all I give is gifts. If I don't give somebody a check or give somebody money, they usually get a book from me, and I'm beginning to be known for that. One of my staff members was in my office on the last day of school, and he brought his children with him. And so before they left, I had given each child a book to take with them. And I told him, I'd say, well, Mr. Medley gives books all the time. That's what he gives his gifts, his books. So when I saw that line in there, you'll read them and give as gifts. More people need to give books as gifts. I mean, the PlayStations and all that stuff is nice, but truly,
I hear you.
The book is really where it's at, and this whole notion of reading being boring, we've got to change that paradigm.
Yeah, it really isn't. It really opens up your mind. It just takes you all over the place.
It does. I mean, in terms of and again, back to what you were just saying, in terms of the slave, talking about we were killed for trying to learn how to do this.
Yeah, that's right.
In my office is like a little museum. It really is, because I have everything that reflects me and experiences and philosophy is hanging in it. And right behind me sits a huge picture of Frederick Douglass. And under it says, once you learn to read, you will forever be free.
Yes.
And so that sits with me. Now I'm looking at the other one, which is an issue that we deal with, is bullying. This one says, Dear Bully. And that one is on your YouTube. I see the little YouTube snippet up there. Talk to me about Dear Bully.
Dear Bully, I wrote that one in 2011, and it's 52 pages. And it's 25 poems, which I wrote. You know, I think that the books were divinely given to me. I wrote 25 poems in 6 hours.
All right.
And it came about because the kids were committing suicide. You know, do you know that there's actually been a word coined, bullycide?
That's the first time I heard it, but I'm not surprised. Wow, bullycide. And because
I was absolutely floored by that. And so, because kids were committing suicide because they were being bullied. So I wrote that, and it's written for grade school kids as well.
Well, I know it's up because by law, there are certain things we have to do. If a child utters the words, I'm going to kill you, I'm going to kill myself, we send them out on what we call crisis. And over the last couple of months before the end of the school year, I was averaging about 2 crisis cases a week, if not more.
Ooh.
And that was high because the guidance counselor was coming to me saying, we have another crisis, another kid going out. And I'm like, and again, we're talking first, second, third graders. We're not talking the older kids. We're talking the youngest ones.
Yeah.
I'm looking
it hurts my heart.
Yeah. I'm telling you, it is back to your whole parenting thing and everything else. And I'll share this story with you, even though I know we're coming down to the end of the hour. My school goes to 8th grade, and we have 8th grade graduation. So one of the young ladies, because of her behavior, actually could not partake in the ceremony. But when I saw her...
You only go up to the 8th grade?
My particular school, because then they leave there and they go to high school.
And
so,
you got a student that couldn't
because the parenting thing again, because of behavior. I mean, her behavior was so awful, and we had warned that, you know what, you could lose your because it's a privilege, not a right. You can lose your privileges, and she got out there and lost her privileges. So I'm sitting in the graduation ceremony, and I see her, and now one of her girlfriends who had not lost her privileges with her. And I said, okay, maybe she's protesting because her girlfriend couldn't march. She figured she wouldn't march either. So when me and the vice principal were talking about it later on in the week, I said, yeah, I saw little such and such. And she actually was dressed. She was dressed because this is a kid that generally will try to be as naked as she can be. She will come in there, I mean, literally, trying to show as much stomach and behind and everything else as possible. Okay. But on this particular day, she actually had on a nice little sundress and was dressed appropriately, very ladylike, and her girlfriend was not. And I said, wow, that's something. Little such and such actually outdressed her girlfriend. So when we were talking about it, she says, I said, was she taking a stand and not marching because her girlfriend didn't march? So the vice principal said, no, she had intended to march, but she decided not to because her mother told her she was not going to be there because she had something else to do. So the girl said, well, forget it then. If my mom's not coming, then I don't want to do it. I share that story because everybody I share it, when I shared it with my wife, and whenever it was shared with me, it almost brought water to my eyes. It really did. That's what's messing our kids up so bad. So when I see Mother's Dozen, I can't imagine what that mother, because it's not like she was working, I can't imagine what else that mother had to do that she couldn't spend an hour at her daughter's 8th grade graduation. Now that's going to be with that child for the rest of her days.
Yeah, it will be.
Especially when she took on the posture of, well, since my mother, didn't feel it worthy to come, forget it, I ain't gonna march.
That's sad.
It was very sad. I mean, and if you knew this kid, because this is a kid that she is smart as a whip, has all the potential in the world, but because of the self-esteem and because of the environment and everything else going on around her, she is constantly throwing herself in harm's way.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah. It really is. I'm looking at that food on Line of Serenity.
I wanted to tell you too, Mark, you were talking about the fact that I self-publish, but I self-publish through CreateSpace, which is a subsidiary of Amazon.
All right.
The books are all available because I didn't want everybody to have to go through each title to look it up on Amazon. All of the titles are on goodshortbooks.com, and then when you click on the link, it takes you to the Amazon order page.
Now, I know we talked about the Kindle earlier, but are they downloadable? Are they in e-reader form too?
Yes.
Oh, good.
All of them except Jet Black.
Okay.
And Jet Black was also, it's only 16 pages, and I wrote that one for kids who are being teased and taunted because I don't want them to not want to go to school every day.
So the Vision and Mother's Dozen, I can download on the Kindle.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what, before today is over, I know those two are going to be downloaded before the day is out.
And I have another one, too, My Simple Quotes to Live By. It's 90 pages. It's 167 of my own quotes that I coined. I coined my first quote when I was 15 years old, and that quote says, never lose your hope and faith.
I know that's right. And every time you say the page number, I laugh because like, wow, she can quote the page numbers. How many pages are in the book?
Yeah.
That one's 34 pages. This one's 60 pages. That one's 62 pages. That one is like... Well, I tell you what, we're down to the last couple of minutes. I always give that to the author in terms of promotion, and you can promote your websites, book signs. You can really say anything other than the dollar amount. But anything short of the dollar amount, the mic is yours. How folks can get in touch with you, your website, goodshortbooks.com, the various titles, anything you want to say, the mic is yours.
All right. I want to leave the audience with one of my most popular quotes from My Simple Quotes to Live By. And it is, it's better never caught than to die never having chased the dream. And that is available at goodshortbooks.com. That's goodshortbooks.com.
All right, say that one more. I was trying to type it with you. It's better to die chasing a dream never caught.
Than to die never having chased the dream.
Never having chased the dream. All right, I'm going to quote you on that one on Twitter as well.
That's my email.
Well, Joyce, thank you so much. Well, you said this is your time to be up anyhow, but I thank you for taking that time to join. Well, I thank you for taking that time to join us. I have thoroughly enjoyed the conversation. Like I said before today is out. Matter of fact, after I get home from the studio, I will be downloading 2 of them right off the bat. Because, like I said, I'm going to read those, and then if I need to order the hard copies or the paperbacks or the soft copy, however format they come in, if I need to do a bulk order, because, again, that's what I give is books. My parents come and meet me, they get a book. The kids come in, they get a book. So and this sounds like
You'll love the My Simple Quotes to Live By. That makes an excellent gift.
All right.
Yeah, so. But don't worry about bulk orders. CreateSpace can handle it.
All right.
Okay.
Well, I tell you what, again, I thank you so much. It is goodshortbooks.com. Listening audience, go to the site. Good Short Book. Now, even the title is simple enough for you to remember. Last night when we were talking on the phone, she said, it's real easy. Just go to goodshortbooks.com. And then she said the email is just as easy. Goodshortbooks@yahoo. All right, there you go. It can't get any simpler than that.
Yes, and thank you very much, Mark, for the opportunity.
Oh, you're more than welcome. I always do the disclaimer in terms of the equipment. As far as I know, everything did what it was supposed to do, and when it does, I go home and edit everything and turn it into a YouTube archive that I will email you.
Okay, good.
And you can do anything you want with it.
Okay.
All right?
Thank you.
Take care now.
You too.
All right.
Bye.